Hey, it's me, E, your favorite uncle, and I'm joined by another favorite uncle of mine, Tito Jeff. He's one of the founders of Magus Games here in Cebu, one of the three shops existing in Cebu. So, Tito Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about Magus, when it started? Why did you want to start it?
Actually, we Magus started back in 2017. To give credit where it's due, it's not actually my idea. It was the idea of Jordan Chua and his group of friends. They wanted me actually just as a financial asset of the company. But as time flew by, we conceptualized and reconceptualized the things. I talked to the community itself, and I actually saw that people were very much interested in having like a place to stay and a place to really just play their hobby. So from there, it was just like it's just like a fun idea. It's like, hey guys, let's make a shop because shop's fun. Cards. Yeah, but as time went by, it got more serious, and then we saw the challenges that it took to actually build a shop. And there's also the course of people telling you that shops are not profitable, blah blah blah. I mean, you felt that, I
Yeah.
guess.
It's good that you mentioned about like the challenges, right? Because a lot of like for me, when I was young, I really wanted to. It's my dream to have a hobby shop, right? Irregardless,
Everyone's
irrespective of like it's a profitable or not, right? But nowadays, let's be practical and realistic. So for those of us who actually wants to start your own hobby shop, what are the things that to think about first before putting in a shop?
When building a shop, there are actually a lot of considerations you have to consider, especially in particular with the initial setup, because the shop survives on its people, right? Its community.
Correct.
Without the community, your shop will probably just be like a stall handing out packs. Okay,
True.
So for me, when I initiated the construction of the shop, three things to consider. First of all, you should have significant capital to cover the construction itself of the shop, make it look nice, make it comfortable, air conditioning, everything. Because if the people don't feel comfortable, they won't stay there, they won't play around, they won't play there. And this is something I've seen in many shops, not just in the Philippines, but of course abroad, where it's like I pass by a shop, there's like one or two tables, and it's like, okay. And then nobody plays because it doesn't look presentable. Mostly, I saw this mostly in Japan, where like hundreds of shops, but only like 4 or 5 of them are like these huge convention kind shops. So you should have a budget large enough to it doesn't have to be a huge shop, but it should be enough to cover expenses for the initial setup and your initial stocks. If I were to give like a ballpark figure, maybe initially maybe around Philippine peso, maybe 700K. Compared to other businesses, it's not actually that large.
Yeah.
But your investment is more on the stocks and the proper furnishing of your shop. Okay. Number two is, I believe, before you get into shop building, you should have a community is interested.
Okay. Fair enough.
Okay? Because the community may or may not be there, but if you don't give a feel of whether or not they're interested in playing at your shop, then there's no point in building the shop. You might as well just build a stall.
True.
Right?
True.
So it's gut feel, and at the same time, it's also research, survey, like who are the available markets. When I started working on Magus, the first thing I did was I talked to people, my friends who played Magic, and I was like, are you interested in playing in a shop in this location? I really had to ask them a lot of questions. Of course, they will say all the things like, I want there to be this, I want there to be that. I want a gigantic TV where I can watch all my playing with power videos. I mean, they want everything. But of course, what you want to feel is the bare minimum. What do they want? And then that is what you start with. And then the other requests they have, you make it along the way. You don't have to throw all your money at the initial period, because that is the period that's actually the most critical, which is you are watching for what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong.
Mm.
And I made a lot of mistakes also in the initial portion wherein I bought things that didn't really matter very much. I bought these kinds of products where until today they're still there. It's like, okay, that was bad. So yeah, it's important to get a feel of the community.
Community.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's budget,
Community.
The third one, and I cannot stress this enough, is your shop. It does not have to be located in a super premium place, but what's important is your shop should be accessible.
Location.
Because the location will determine whether or not those people who are interested will actually go there.
Yeah.
So yeah, proximity to your community is very important. Actually, if you look at all the three, these are very interconnecting. So it's budget to cater to your community, the community interest itself, and the proximity to the community. So they're all interrelated.
That makes total sense in terms of it. Kind of seems like you're actually planning for real estate. Right?
I mean, McDonald's is a real estate company.
That's
if you
true.
know.
That's true. You mentioned about potential pitfalls when doing the shop, right? So we already know the top three things we need to consider: the budget, the community engagement, and number three is the shop location, right, which is interconnected.
Yeah.
Now, if you have that secured, what are the things that you have to look out for? Kasi kanina you mentioned like you made some not so well-advised inventory purchases.
Yeah. There was no advice whatsoever. I just bought them. First one is never overshoot your budget. We know for a fact that like magic products are on a calculated, scheduled, interval. You should never overstretch your budget. That was something that I realized early into the shop, because when I bought my initial stocks, like, we're new. That was the time of Modern Masters 2017.
Yes.
That set was super profitable. It was an awesome set. So I bought, like, non-disclosure is probably near 30 boxes. It's huge. And it was a large amount for my budget. But I assumed it's like, this is a good set. It's probably going to sell out really fast. Good assumption. But what I didn't realize is how long it would take for it to sell out.
Oh, okay.
So I got it. I have a lot of Modern Masters now. And so I'm selling it. And it's sold fast, relatively. It's like maybe a box a week. But then I realized 2 months later, around that period, a new set was coming out. And then when I looked at like how much the price was for a booster box, and then the other products like the bundles, collectors didn't exist back then yet. But all these extra items, and then you also have to cater to the other communities, like the Pokemon communities. Back then we also had the Yu-Gi-Oh communities, and then the Hero Click community. And then I suddenly realized that damn, I can't pay for all of this out of the shop's budget. So I had to reach towards my personal budget and then just dunk it there for a while. It's like, oh damn, this is so you don't overshoot your budget. I mean, I understand that there is profit to be made. That 30 boxes eventually would sell out, and the shop did make a lot of money out of it. But the problem is, while it's not being sold, your money is sleeping. And that's not all, because you're stocking on MTG, you're also stocking on Pokemon, you're also stocking. So yeah, don't overshoot your budget. That's very important. Secondly, I think another pitfall is try not to fight with customers and try not to make a spectacle of small issues. This is something that I've seen happen a lot in Manila shops, and as well as shops overseas in the US. I hear all these posts about, shop A had a disgruntled customer. Customer makes a scene. Shop has to explain why. I mean, I understand that this is a normal occasion, not just for retail shops, but maybe for like restaurants. Again, when was the last time you complained at a restaurant, Tito E?
Me, I don't complain. I just leave.
That's the best complaint. You never bring back your money. Yeah, I mean, exactly, right? I mean, people complain and they never come back. And I understand there are some complaints that are warranted. Like, let's say I promised them that the product will arrive on this date, but it never arrived, so I have to apologize. The guy is like, "No, you said it'll be arriving here. Now I can't play my tier deck because I don't have this thing, so I have to apologize." Like, I'm sorry, but I mean, I wish it would be here, but it's not.
Yeah. True,
Eh,
true,
diba? And you try not to make a spectacle out of it. You try to resolve it properly. You ask the person in that particular situation. I would tell the person, I'm sorry, but it's not here. If you want, I could give you back your deposit. Or if you want, I can give you like extra products. Sometimes I use promo packs for that, especially if the purchase is large enough.
Yeah.
I would definitely give them like, I'm sorry, but when it gets here, I will give it to you with extra products.
Yeah.
So there are ways to make it to resolve it amicably. But the thing is, a lot of shops also miss this because I'm not naming shops in particular. Okay, that's not my kind of style. But there are shops I have noticed where when there is issues, there is always clapback. It's like someone talking bad things about
the
me
shop,
or
yeah.
about the shop, and then I immediately have to make a
Retaliation.
retaliative comment.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that has happened to me in particular, where there was a person who was angry because I accidentally backed out of a deal which I forgot.
Okay.
Okay. So what happened was I had a deal with someone, okay? And then he was gonna sell cards to the shop, and then I would resell the cards at the shop. Okay. The thing is, when the guy arrived, it was like 2 months later.
Okay.
So I completely forgot
Okay.
that I had this deal with someone because he said he was coming from another area.
Yeah.
And when he came to the shop, I wasn't able to inform my staff. So when he came to the shop, I wasn't looking at my phone. The staff was trying to like tell him na, oh, the shop owner's not here. I believe that's a personal transaction, blah blah blah. So of course, by our personal rules, you're not supposed to accept something unless there's approval from the shop owner. So the guy was like, "What kind of shop are you?" And they're like, "Oh my god!" And then he leaves a bad comment, and totally understandable. But the thing is, I did not retaliate. Okay, it says something bad about the shop, things like that. There were some points warranted, some points unwarranted, but at the same time, I did tell the guy that I'm sorry for what happened. We'll try to improve things. Blah blah blah. I did not make a post.
Yeah.
Okay, I messaged the dude directly. No further discussions on social media. Done. Period. Okay?
Take note. That's how you do this, guys.
I mean, I don't understand the necessity of having a spectacle on issues.
Yeah, true.
I mean, maybe it's a lot less now because people are more careful about things they do on social media. But back then, when I was still starting the shop, my God, in the Philippine chat groups, you'd see things pop out all the time. It's like, wow, there's another issue. What's this week's issue?
Popcorn.
Popcorn. God. But yeah, I mean the second thing is the way you deal with customers is really like be amicable. If there's something wrong, reply properly. Don't make a spectacle out of it. If it's really like it's really someone else's fault, it's not the shop's fault, you don't place blame because the moment you place blame, the person is probably going to feel like, oh, you're attacking. Diba? And that's the point where conflict starts. It's for me, it's like more of you have a complaint, you're angry, I replied, and then I gave my stand. If we don't understand each other, well, let's move on. You don't want to come back to the shop, okay? That's your prerogative. But that's it. Yeah, I don't make further talks about it. Maybe okay. There are certain exemptions when I know for a fact that he was in the wrong. I will make a post out of it on the shop page, but I will not direct it to the person. It's more of due to issues, blah blah blah. We will be implementing this new policy on the shop. There, I will not point out who that person is. I will not say what happened. It was more of
Yeah.
There,
FYI.
correcting. Yeah.
This is just the thing that we're going to do now. Going forward.
Forward. Because it's really improvement. It's a cycle of improvement. And so that's one, don't overshoot your budget. Two,
Customer engagement.
customer engagement. Three, know your product.
Know your product.
Definitely. There was several instances where there were new products that arrived, right? You remember the Transformers, the Final Fantasy, diba? I tried to bring in people for that. Like I really did. Like for Transformers, I posted about it. No one was interested. So I didn't stock up on it. I just had like an initial batch of orders, but I didn't stock too much on it. Same with Final Fantasy, but Final Fantasy kind of got traction a bit, and then it's slowly tapered off. So it was unfortunate because I actually like the cards. It feels very nice. It's premium feel right there. But yeah, you should know your product because the moment you're trying to sell products that you're not very familiar with, it's either you scam yourself or you scam the customer.
Yeah.
Right? Because there are times where there is like specialty products. Let's say, remember the VIP? The VIP Double Masters? That thing was super limited in quantity. And I was like, oh, this thing's probably quite important. But at the same time, I was like, super expensive though. So I just bought like 3 of them.
Okay.
And then I didn't think of it as like something I would like to stock up more. Because back then, I didn't deep dive into MTG finance. I wasn't updated on the ebbs and flows of the finance world in MTG. Because, as a shop owner, I try to avoid pricing my products depending on what's inside the product.
Okay, I see.
I know that there were products that are like super valuable. I could price them at like 10 times its value.
Yeah.
But that wouldn't look good on me as the shop owner, right? Because there are shops who do adjust the price of the product depending on what's inside, like especially the Commander products. Because when you see Dockside Extortionist in one product, it's like, oh, we want that, and everyone buys that, and everything else sticks to your shelves, right?
True.
Yeah. There has to be a method for you to know your product enough that you're willing to price the items in a certain way that makes it still profitable, but at the same time, you have to give it to your customers, that you have to give them a chance. Right?
True.
So I mean, you need to know your product, and especially like when it comes to inviting new players. If you don't know your product, there's really no way for you to engage your players. Right? In Magus, we actually make it a point that when there are new players who come in, we give them welcome boosters. We give them free cards, Tito E. Like I literally put a large chunk of my personal collection. I put it in the shop, and I told the staff, is like, there are new players here. You give them welcome boosters, and you can let them sift through this box. I don't charge them anything. Just let them take it.
Yeah.
Because that's how you know that the community is engaged. There's like, they will personally look for the item they want, and they will try to play by themselves. Like, construct decks by themselves. And like when you see the deck, it's like, oh, that's an interesting deck. And then the community comes in, it's like, maybe if we change this to this, and then we can upgrade this. That's community engagement, Tito E.
Makes sense. Yep.
Yeah, because that's number 2 of my top 3.
Yes.
The community. The community is actually the one that made a great impact to the shop.
Correct.
Because without that community engagement, our players wouldn't be as interested. But because the community cares, when you and me play, the community is gonna tell you like, hey, you should have done this because after this you could have won. They will teach you. They'll make you a better player. That's community engagement. Right?
Agree.
Because without that, it's hard. So that comes with the knowing the product kind of thing.
That totally makes sense also. I think it also pairs up nicely with what you mentioned about knowing your community, because as you said a while ago, we don't want to price products as aggressively, or like it kind of looks like you're taking advantage already with the community, bearing in mind that we made the shop for the community in the first place. So it has to strike a balance between the shop able to survive and earn so that we can support more hobbies. I think that was the concept that that we're trying to embody as a shop, right? Tito Jeff, I know that you have mentioned a lot about MTG, but as a MTG player and a shop owner right now, what can you say? Do you say that being a player and an owner are really two different things,
Oh,
and one won't live over the other? One cannot. One has to give way.
okay. I think I have an answer to
So
that.
let me just clarify, Tito Jeff. This is just for those discerning viewers out there who has a grandeur vision of having a shop, but to set things into reality's perspective as well. Is it the same?
I'm gonna split this into probably two answers. So number one, yes, it is in fact it's important that you're a player when you are a shop owner.
Okay.
It's important. However, it's also not necessary. However, it also depends on your level of understanding. And this is being practical. This is also dependent on your level of understanding of business.
Okay.
Okay? Because, I mean, you could be the best Magic player in the world, but if you don't know how business works, you're just hoping that, like, my knowledge on the game is probably gonna make me successful. I'm gonna put up tournaments and I'm gonna beat every single one of these people, rummage them for money. No. That it doesn't make sense, right? I mean, you're just attacking your community basically. But to put things into perspective, it's important that you're a player. In a sense that being a player means you would know how to give advice to your customers. Like when you handle tournaments and all of these things, you need to be able to tell your customers na, especially if they're sad because they've played 10 of your tournaments, won 8th place every single time. This person's probably not gonna last very long.
Hey man. Don't bring this kind of flex.
I'm being realistic here. But there are people who like they get discouraged because of this and that. It's important for you to be a player because you need to be able, again, back to number 2, community engagement. You need to be able to know how to make your players better.
Yes.
And being a good player also helps you in the practical and business side of things. It helps you sell product. You know how to market the product. You know this person is casual. You know what products to suggest. You know this person's competitive. You know what products to suggest. Being a player, you can also tell them that, wait a minute, this deck kind of needs some work. You need these cards. I mean, I know it sounds bad that you're trying to tell someone that's like, your deck's bad, buy cards. So it sounds as if you're trying to be the a-hole of the situation. It's like, you know, I don't think your deck's gonna work. Here, buy some more of my stuff. It sounds bad, but it makes sense because in the long term, you're trying to make the person better. You're trying to make the person realize that, hey, I know you love this deck, but for you to make it work, you're gonna have to put in a significant amount of work and really a lot of better cards.
Correct.
Just spilling out truth there. Diba? I mean, there are ways for you to substitute card, but a shock land is way different from a tap land.
Yes, exactly.
All right?
Even if it gains you one life.
Even if it gains you one life, even if it's indestructible, right? There is a difference that one turn is going to cost you. Back to my point, is you should be knowledgeable of your product. This is to avoid that you give bad advice, and this is also to avoid like you stocking up on certain items that you know for a fact is not gonna sell well, or you know people are not interested. I have made bad investments before, like I overstock on the collector's boxes. Remember those?
Yes.
I overstocked a bit on the Kaldheim.
Okay.
And what happened was there were like maybe 4 or 5 boxes of it just there in the shop, and no one was interested. It's like, this is a lot of money just sitting there, right? So it's really important for you to know your stuff, but you don't have to be a player. I mean, you could play like super casually, just know how to play the game, and maybe have like a small collection. But you don't have to be a player to be a shop owner. Just be knowledgeable of what you're selling.
That makes sense.
Right? Because a lot of times you make suggestions to people, and if you make the bad suggestion, you become the bad guy,
Yes,
right?
yes.
You told me this card is awesome, and I went to the other shop, and he told me this was trash.
Maybe buy this more.
I have a different product. Maybe you'd like this one. Now you're the worst guy. Yeah, but I mean, at the very least, just know your product, right? So you don't make these bad tales to people, and then it'll come back to bite you.
That's true. I think one of the things that shop owners need to realize, or good shop owners also realize, is that your main asset is not really the inventory. It's actually the community. That's your main asset when you're building a hobby shop. Yeah. It's the people around. It's not the products that you sell, because the products is unanimous across all hobby shops, right?
Yeah.
The main difference is who are playing.
Yes, that's true.
Within those shops.
Yeah, and it's typically your community that actually helps you succeed.
Correct.
For me to name like special mentions on your show here is like, I have friends like Kins Aquino.
Shout out to Kins.
Shout out to Kins. He's like our tournament caller. I mean, anytime like here when you visited, we didn't have plans, and then we were like, "Hey, Kins, can you set something up?" And he starts messaging, calling people. I think he has chat groups for this.
Yeah.
It's like, so I mean, I really appreciate people like that who actually go out of their way to help the shop. I mean, another person who is also part of the shop is Jerick, who he may be an owner, but when he buys packs, he buys it at retail. You know, I mean, I know this sounds bad. Well, it's not. It doesn't sound bad. It's more of like promoting your own brand, because he knows that when you buy products, you could easily buy it at retail, distributor price.
Correct.
However, being part of the community, you have to sustain the shop. You can't just buy products out of you can't use your own supply.
Yes,
right?
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So these people, the community knows that you're trying to make things better for them, and that they at the same time they're trying to help you. Sometimes I intentionally price my products a bit higher to cover for the shipping costs and all of that, and I'm very transparent with my community. Okay, I tell them exactly why it's expensive, and I don't sugarcoat anything. When I try to sell them collector's booster, the only thing I could say is, well, that's really the cost of the thing. It's really very expensive, and we try as much as possible to reduce the price. But if we go any lower, probably not making any more money.
Yes.
So that's the thing. It's the community will understand as long as you're not trying to BS them into buying stuff.
So, hot take. Quick question.
All right.
What's your opinion on charging table by the hour?
That is a hot take.
Hot take. Pro con, or just like, are you pro charging or con not charging?
Okay. My answer to that varies depending on the size of the shop. But I will say, as a small shop, I am anti table charging. Okay? For the main reason that I want my community to keep growing. I want them to be at the shop, because being at the shop, it grows the community. And us hearing these people shouting, like laughing, and when these things happen, it makes them feel at home, which is something I want for my small business, right? And from a business person's point of view and a retailer's point of view, you want the incidental purchases from these people.
Correct.
Right? Because, okay, you might charge them. Like, you sit there, here, play a pod of EDH. How much are you going to charge per person?
Agree.
It's like
weird.
it's weird. It's like, are you gonna charge each person 50 pesos? I mean, if you do that, it's like 50-50. That's 200 pesos, right?
Yes, yes.
And then how long are you going to
Make
let
them
them
sit- yeah,
stay?
yeah,
It's like per hour. Are you gonna put a timer here or something? Are you gonna call them out like a
Oh,
computer shop?
Yeah.
You're not a computer shop. Right? I mean, okay, to be quite fair, I understand the concept of, making sure that there is turnover,
Yeah.
right? Like turnover of customer, because this customer already bought his product, so we don't want them to stay very long. It's like a restaurant.
Yes.
Restaurants don't like that,
Yes.
right? However, you also have to consider that doing so is going to hurt your community.
Yes.
The community will not like that at all. I'm more for community building rather than siphoning these little bits of income from people just sitting down.
Yeah.
I don't feel good about that. But again, I mentioned about small and big shops depending, because I do understand that there are big shops who are continuously full. Okay, there are like many tables and they're always full, or sometimes they mix the games and there might be like a cafe.
Yeah.
There is like a combination. Maybe then I would understand that they would charge per table. Okay, like they probably expect like there will be a turnover, or you use the money to buy drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
I understand that. Sure, why not? But for smaller shops and shops who don't really have like this extra side to it, I don't think it's a good idea. It's going to hurt the community. If you do want to do that, offer something in return to the customer.
Correct. All right, that was just good take, Tito Jeff. Thank you very much for your time. And that's Tito Jeff from Magus. If you are in town, try to visit Magus at...
We are located at General Maximum Avenue in Raintree Mall. So there's a ice cream parlor there, Ice Castle. Just behind that, we're hidden. It's right there, Magus Games.
I think that's it. Thank you for your time, Tito Jeff.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, and if you're interested on putting up a shop, I mean, follow your dreams, but reference this.
Follow your dreams, but temper your expectations.
Yes, exactly. All right, here we are, signing off.